Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Well, we're live.
Welcome.
We're back on Bridge of Two.
Welcome.
Welcome back. We took a little bit of a longer break. Just needed another week.
Yeah, just busy. I'm a busy bee.
And it was probably good because we were reading the Chronicles, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
We were reading the smallest book we've read so far, and
we weren't ready. We didn't have it done that yet, and then we both finished it today. So we procrastinated a whole other week,
which just says a lot about us. A good book. It wasn't because it wasn't good at all. I actually really enjoyed it.
It's like one of those things. It's like whenever it's like it's only 200 pages, you're like, I could finish that in a day.
It's not even.
So I'm not gonna finish it in a day. I'm gonna finish it in 2 weeks.
This is even worse because it wasn't even 200 pages. It was like, I think 90.
Your edition may be
bigger.
different. Mine's smaller, is 207 pages in mine, but
Mine was like 90.
Okay, so there's probably a smaller print and like bigger pages or something.
Maybe.
That's
What I was like.
Hey! I had to finish 200 pages.
I kept saying like, oh, it's only 90, there's 90 pages. Psh, I'll be fine. I mean, I technically read like 30 of it today.
That's probably about as much as I read today.
Finished the last 2 chapters like 30 minutes before you came over.
Nice,
but it was good. I actually really enjoyed it. It was, despite it. We'll talk about it later.
We will. So, but first, before we do, get into our this past few weeks, I have to ask you a question that I need just more thoughts from the world on.
Oh no! What I do?
You have an iPhone, right?
I do.
Do you ever use Siri? Talk to Siri, ask? No, never. What about? Do you ever use maps and get directions from?
Hey Siri. Oh, iPad turned on. No, I don't ever use Siri. I use Maps. I don't ever use Siri.
So you don't hear the voice when you do the maps?
Very rarely, unless I have my headphones in. Then occasionally.
Okay.
I think I have that all turned off.
Because I've noticed something for a little while with Siri after maybe an update ago or something. And Siri will do this thing where she's telling me where to go, and all of a sudden this other voice takes over. It's sounds way more less human, less alive, and kind of disturbing. And to happen today, because I was going several different places, and I wanted to make sure I went the most direct routes so I would get here on time. So I am driving, and Siri, starts telling me, in 2 miles, turn left onto, and then this other voice cuts in, sorry, turn left onto Beeville Road.
Is it Russian?
No, it's
Is your phone fully
It's like
updated?
a robot trying to sound English.
Is your phone fully updated? I don't think mine's fully updated.
It is. Yeah, it's fully updated. But I think I know what it is.
Okay.
Siri has a split personality.
Okay, that's terrifying.
And I'm calling it sorry because every time it cuts in, it's sorry, starting again. And then starts over, in the middle of, it was about to tell me to turn left onto Woodcrest Drive or something. It's turn left onto Woodcrest Drive.
Does it only happen when you do?
And then it's sorry, starting again. Turn left onto Woodcrest Drive.
Does it only happen when you're using Maps, or does it happen otherwise?
I think I feel like it's mainly when I'm using Maps. I feel like it's happened before whenever I've tried calling people. It's a really garbled voice. And then other times it's just the normal. I have Siri in a Scottish woman's accent, but whenever the robot's talking, it's just this weird robotic English accent. I think that in reality, I think that maybe it's whenever there's bad cell reception. Because used to whenever you would try to use Siri and you didn't have good cell reception, it would be Siri's unavailable right now. But now it seems like it kind of works. So maybe there's maybe they put in a dumbed down Siri for whenever your cellular reception's bad. or your internet speed is slow or something like that. It's like, here's sorry instead of Siri. Anyway, I don't know if that.
Here we go. Why does Siri sound weird?
Oh, did you just look it up? It does sound disturbing though, especially when it goes from the normal voice all of a sudden just drops into this weird cadence. It's guttural, deep.
Apparently it
Murderbot sounding voice.
Do you keep your phone on low power mode?
It's not on there right now. I mean, I do have it on there a lot, but
people are just thinking it's a bug. I think technology is officially taking over. It is getting a split personality. It's actually getting a real personality now.
Yeah,
at first it was electronic and robot. Now it's actually getting its real personality named Sorry.
It's like butting in,
and it's like oh, I'm here. Sorry. Oh, it says sorry almost to itself of like, oh crap, I need to get back into character. And then it says, sorry, going to...
Sorry, starting again.
Yeah.
Turn left to be murdered.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Siri?
Anyway, so...
That's terrifying. That's good to know.
Adventures in Siri.
I probably haven't heard it because one, I don't use Siri, and two, I haven't updated my phone or iPad in like a little bit, so...
Nah. Are you're part of the resistance? Or?
I'm just lazy.
Oh, okay.
And forget to do it.
Anyway, yeah, so that's that. What's up with you?
So robots are taking over. How are you doing? We're winding down in schoolwork right now, so I have more free time as far as like just doing stuff outside of class and not having to worry about homework and all that and studying as much. So, although I should be studying more than I am, but it's fine.
But you get good grades.
I do. I think I have the top grades in my class. I don't know for certain.
Are you like a male version of Hermione?
Maybe.
Where you're like, I should be studying more, but you have the top grades in your class?
Well, I should be studying more because in the past week I don't think I've studied at all. So
Still.
She actually studies.
Apparently you do too, because you have good grades.
I just pay attention in class.
There you go.
I also have
why don't more people
the turning time turner.
Oh, right.
So I can go back.
Just go back and re-listen.
So yeah, I've had more free time. I've read a little bit more of that book I was reading.
Thomas Covenant.
The Thomas Covenant book. I don't know if I'm going to continue it just because it's kind of just, I don't know. It's just
boring.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not in the right headspace for it. I feel like it's a book I'd probably come back to later on. But I'm just not in it right now.
Because you're reading Chronicles of Narnia.
Reading Chronicles of Narnia. And I'm listening to the next Galaxy's Edge Legionnaire books, so on audiobooks. So I don't know. I'll probably stop at that. I'm actually thinking about my next book reading is I actually think I might go back through the Republic Commando series.
Classic.
It's a good book. I actually started playing the game again on the Switch.
That game is so replayable.
It really is. The books are so rereadable.
Yeah. I need to reread them.
So I'm thinking about rereading them, and then obviously I'm listening to I've already read it a while ago, but since we were doing our reread of them, I'm now on the third Galaxy's Edge book, which is really good. It goes back to the perspective of Chun and the squad. It takes place right after book one.
Oh, really?
Because you know how book two kind of jumped further ahead?
Yeah, a little bit.
This one takes place. This one goes back to basically right after book one.
Oh.
And you also learn more about what happened on Kublai and like why their ship got blown up and all that. Okay. You learn a lot more about what's going on with that, and that's kind of what they're in the process of doing. So it's really good. It's weird. This book actually jumps between because the first book was like first person. Second book was third person, pretty much. If I remember correctly, it was written kind of in third person.
You're right. You're right.
This one is written in both third or first person and second person.
The second person, is that like you do this, you do that?
There are a few chapters that are written like that. It's very interesting how it's done.
Interesting.
But I've been listening to that. I've been walking at work when I'm at the station at the end of the day, so I'll throw that on my in one ear and I got my radio in the other ear. And
nice.
We'll listen to it. It's good stuff. But yeah, I mean, other than that, just I haven't been drawing as much as I should be. I've been trying to get in there. I've been doing a lot more exercises actually recently. I've been watching this guy Peter Hahn. I don't know if anybody who listens know this if they like art or anything like that, but he's done a lot of stuff. Concept artist, draftman, I think. He's done a lot of different things, but he's a really good artist.
Yeah.
He teaches a class over in California as well. He's also like a 40-some-year-old man that looks like a 20-year-old. It's wild.
That's nice.
But he's a really good artist, and he's really good at drawing from imagination and without any like guidelines. and just kind of throwing things down and just like having a concept and just like drawing lines and making it work. But I was watching some of his stuff and he was showing some different tips to like help your drawing process and like things to like warm up with, stuff like that. So I've been doing a lot of that. And a lot of it's just starting off with just drawing lines and then going to shapes and then going to 3-dimensional shapes and then more complex things and trying to make it all work together. Cool. So I've been doing that a lot more than actually drawing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start trying to do some anatomy studies, like actually looking at people and other people's artwork and figuring out how they moved the anatomy to make it look the way they did and different styles. So, but nothing, I don't have anything new coming out really.
Well, I mean, you just had a piece you just finished the other night. Very abstract kind of.
Oh yeah, well, that was last night, and that was my wife and I's doing, and that was half asleep Jeremiah brain going on.
And I think that needs to be out for the world to see.
You think I should publish it on my Instagram? I should do it, right? Publish this beauty, this absolute beaut. What should we name him? Is the question. I don't even know if I could post this. It might go against guidelines. Disturbing guidelines. I had to put a
what would you call that? I mean,
you just wouldn't.
I think you would. You should. There's an essence of that character that is.
Oh, you know what it looks like? It looks like a Dark Souls boss. You would like a boss you'd find in like maybe Dark Souls or something like that.
What do they name? Like, how do they name Dark Souls bosses? Like, what's their names like?
I don't know.
Are they like different language words, or are they like Light Death Reaper?
I don't even know. Usually, like, I get like a weird name and then like the grotesque after it or something like that.
So this is
Sharky the Grotesque.
It could be Sharky.
I get shark vibes from him.
Oh yeah, definitely shark vibes.
Sharky the Grotesque.
It looks like a shark surfboard.
Sharky the Flower Sniffer. Oh, gross.
How about Tiger Board?
Tiger Board. I don't know.
Tiger Shark Board. The Grotesque. Anyway,
so I don't know. Hopefully, I'll be getting some more stuff out there on the Instagrams, but
yeah,
I'm not like really trying to like throw my social media presence out there like crazy. Not something I'm really worried about. But
okay.
Other than that, getting really back into a Star Wars kick. Mainly because of Lego Star Wars. Actually, the new Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga came out. I've been playing that. It is wonderful. It brings me back to my childhood, but also it's just something new and different. And a lot of exploration. It's just fun to play through the game. And so it's putting me back in a Star Wars mood. So
yeah,
I would play a little bit more of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay.
And then plan on reading. That's actually what made me want to read or start listening to
Public Commando.
Well, that's what made me want to start listening to Galaxy's Edge again.
Oh,
because Galaxy's Edge is very Star Wars influenced, and
right.
I was trying to find a Star Wars. I have 5 credits on Audible somehow.
Oh.
I guess I'm
money.
I stopped my subscription.
Oh, okay, but then you had.
But
like,
apparently
already...
I guess I have 5. I don't know. Anyway, I was looking for some Star Wars books, but then I looked at my library. I was like, oh, I have the next Galaxy's Edge.
There you go.
And so I started listening to that. And then that made me want to read Republic Commando. And then I started playing it, obviously.
Full circle.
Yep.
It all comes back.
Yep.
To Star Wars.
So that's. It's. I always get it happens every year or every 2 years. I'll get into a Star Wars kick, and I'll start playing and read it and all that, drawing it. And like I'm drawing just drew the Mandalorian, or in the process of.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So
you should publish that once you finish it.
I will once I finish it. I'll finish it. I'm probably gonna do that and then make one more stylized version of it, because that's a little bit more realistic. I'm gonna try and do a more stylized version and then probably publish that. But yeah, so it's just been fun. It's Star Wars is great.
You should draw the Sharky the Grotesque in trying to like in Mandalorian armor somehow. Like I
don't even know how I could.
I know you'd have to like modify the armor somehow. His head would be like busting out of the Beskar.
I should just give
or the head could be like shoved in, so it's like the neck it like slopes into the helmet.
You realize now that Sharky the Grotesque is going to have to be in some sort of thing that I do. If I do a comic, he's going to have to be in there somewhere.
It could be like a he reminds me of like a Boba Bo character.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like crazy anime.
What a throwback to that show. Oh my gosh. Bo 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 bo.
Yeah. I mean, there's like
I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to make him look like more
Jellyman.
realistic. And like I can probably make him look super. Like I could actually probably do like a really grotesque looking.
you know
monster.
it has a little bit of Trogdor vibes too because you've got the arms coming out of the back. Only it's 2, so it's like even better than Trogdor.
Oh, so gross.
I wonder who would win in a fight between Trogdor and Sharky the Grotesque.
I don't know, but this picture
He has more arms.
He does have more arms, but those first
He doesn't breathe fire though, so he can't burn.
As far as you know.
Oh,
We don't know what he's got.
but I know he can sniff flowers.
He can sniff flowers really well.
So who knows?
Maybe that's how he gets his fire breath. Is he sniffs the flowers and it turns into fire
Sniffs
breath?
the fire flower from Mario.
Anyway, that's about it for me, though. I mean, I don't know, not too much else. Just watching the Clone Wars again. It's just, I don't know, it's been a boring couple weeks for me.
I like how you like almost finish and then you're like, and then here's another Star Wars thing I'm doing. It's like,
I told you, I get into really big Star Wars kicks
there's always
randomly.
like another one more little Star Wars.
I'll be
thing.
in a Star Wars kick for probably like a month, and then I'll jump back into something else like fantasy. I go through phases, okay?
Yeah.
Just let me live my life.
You're that shark. You're sniffing Star Wars.
I'm sniffing the Star Wars right now. I'll probably be in a Star Wars phase until Obi-Wan comes out. Then I'll be in it for like another like month, and then I'll get out of it.
You're gonna watch Revenge of the Sith like 80 times after that show is done.
That's actually the next one up for Steph and I. We're kind of going through them really slowly, but we're going through them. Next one's up is Revenge of the Sith. I'm hype. I love that movie. I actually kind of want to read the Kenobi book before the show comes out.
That'd be cool.
It's a good book.
Because then you could just to see what did they use, what did they not use, what did they adapt a little bit, and yeah.
There's a video that I haven't watched yet, but apparently the video is saying that Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order is gonna meet Obi-Wan Kenobi in the show somehow. I don't know.
I wonder who they'll get to play him.
Huh? Oh, shut up.
I wonder who they'll get to play. Because for those listening who don't understand why I said that, is because the actor who voices Cal Kestis, they literally modeled him exactly like him. So sort of like the character of The Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
They could play a live action version of their characters.
Gosh, they need to put him in more stuff. Star Wars stuff. You know, he does
He's all canon though, right?
No, I mean they need to put that guy.
Oh, that actor. Yeah.
Well, you know, he does all in the Clone Wars TV show. He does all of Darth Maul's voices.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like a big Star Wars nerd.
Yeah.
Like he's like genuinely like just one of those guys that's just like enjoys Star Wars. He does the voice for him. He does the voice for a couple of the characters in different episodes too. They should bring back Starkiller though. He's such a good. I actually wanted to play those games again too. Those are good games.
I'm pretty sure one of them just came out on the Switch.
Yeah, but I heard it's trash. I heard it's like the PS2 version.
Port. Oh, it's just not.
It's just not as good. I have it on my computer, so
gotcha.
I'd rather play it on there, or I can mod it or something. But anyway, yeah, that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to? Just all Star Wars for me, pretty much.
I managed to do some things besides write.
How dare you?
I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes of the Halo show.
Is it good? Actually, that's something else I've been wondering. I actually plan on playing Halo again, or playing through Halo.
It makes me want to play through the Halo games again because the story in those games is good.
Yes. Quite.
You know, it's not. It's very. Sometimes it's fun to play a very on rails story. You know, where
very linear.
Yeah, very linear because it'll just be a very tightly told story, and yeah, so that's like the Halo games are like that. But so here's the thing about the Halo show. So I mean, and I can't even say so far because the way they started it, they just changed a whole bunch of stuff with the storyline, the like timeline of certain things. So there's a lot of stuff in there that remind you of stuff in the Halo games and like the story, but they completely changed a good bit of it.
Why?
I don't know exactly. I think a big part of it is they made a choice to make the Master Chief. It seems like they wanted to delve into his character more right away, and they really wanted to put him in a very conflicted kind of character arc path right away. So, I should have said spoilers. Or should I have?
Don't think it's really that spoiler anyway.
So because of that, they did certain things. They reveal he takes off his helmet, I think, at the end of the first episode.
What?
Like right away.
That's like the point. Like,
I know.
They're all the games you just never see him.
Right. They just made a choice that we're going to get to know this character.
I think that's a poor choice.
So yeah. So
I haven't watched the show.
I'm not necessarily bashing the show because it is as a show. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I sort of like it. I sort of think it's good. And I mean, there's obviously I haven't seen the whole first season, so it could have like a really good, storyline for the opening season. It's just not the Halo canon. You know, what's been Halo canon. So I don't even know how do you even process it, because it's not like
that. Yeah, that's weird because I mean
it's not going to be it can't be canon because it like Reach is, I'm guessing, I think maybe they might do the Fall of Reach because Reach is a planet that's still existing. So that's like Halo Fall of Reach is a.
I mean, I'm all about that. So that's that story is one of the best in my opinion.
So that could be on in the cards, but the thing is, they do right away this very like the UNSC is corrupt thing where I forget the name of the sergeant, the black sergeant.
Anderson. Is it Anderson?
I don't think it's Anderson. It looks like they were trying to do Johnson from the first Halo game, but he's the father of this military scientist, Miranda Keyes. Who is trying to, which I remember her in like some of the later games. I think she was in Halo 2, maybe Halo 3.
Miranda appears in Halo 2 and 3. She's a commander.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like this kind of more idealistic character, and whereas the rest of the UNSC is kind of like, how can we exploit this this Spartan program, for militaristic reasons and which that maybe some of that may be in the lore.
I don't know enough about Halo. I've only really played 1, 3, and Reach.
It changes instead of it being, the Halo games start off with like the Covenant is this already ongoing threat that the world is united against, or the United Nations
or whatever.
Space Command is like united against and fighting. So Master Chief is a symbol of the good guys, It's like Master Chief is a symbol of imperialism that there's some like planets in the outer reaches, like kind of like a Star Wars vibe, like on the Outer Rim maybe or something, that don't want to be under the control. And then in the middle of this kind of civil war thing happening, the Covenant show up and kind of bust everything wide open. And so everybody's has to reorient themselves with this big threat.
Interesting.
So that's kind of the setup. And so it's very different from the way the Halo games set things up.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so then you have Master Chief is been this symbol, very by the book, follows orders, but you're starting with him when he touches this artifact and it starts to like wake him up from just his programming, his like military programming or whatever. Cortana's not a thing yet. Like they're doing like weird, like there's something weird with Cortana. I'm not sure.
Her story arc's actually pretty. I've listened to a video the other day about the story and lore of Halo, like hour long. But her story arc is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, she's very interesting. And she's a character that kind of humanizes Master Chief in the games.
Yes.
But in this...
Which is funny because she's an AI.
That's what's weird about this show, that they start without her. I do want to finish it, and so I'll see where it's going, but they just made some weird choices. I don't know exactly why they did. And I don't think they had to do that. Had to do it that way.
I just don't understand sometimes, like, when you have stuff like Halo or Star Wars, for example, you have so much, and all you've had, like, so Halo, for instance, all you've had is comics, games, and books. Maybe like an animated show or movie here and there. Why? And you're going to go to live action. Why not just start from the beginning? Take an existing, like start from this beginning story,
Right.
and in live action. Because a lot of people would be like, "Oh crap, Halo, the game, but I can just watch it in live action." Absolutely, and they would just love the same story because the story is good.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to change things up. Like,
Right.
I mean, I get like sometimes you want to, like people were like, "Oh, I want to do something different," but it's just like with stuff like that, like you don't have to, and really just going to alienate some fans if you do.
Right.
Now they might not even be changing that much stuff up. I don't know enough about Halo, the story to know, but
Yeah. I do feel like maybe if you're going to do a Halo show and you want Master Chief is your main character, you do have to, like, I think at some point his helmet would have to come off.
I mean,
Because he has to be a real character. He has to have some depth. But so that's not my biggest gripe. You know, my biggest gripe is just not understanding why they amalgamated so much of the lore in so weird ways, you know. It's definitely, like I said, if like Halo the games had never been made,
yeah,
obviously the show wouldn't exist, but if the games had never been made and this was the first thing you'd ever seen from Halo, you'd probably think, this is really cool. This is really interesting. Yeah. It's not necessarily a bad story. It's just
when you pair it up with the fact that it has source material.
Right. It's like, why did they change this? And, you know, anyway.
Interesting.
But yeah, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, so we'll see how the rest of that goes. The action is cool. I mean, it's, you know, you're seeing the Spartans. There's other Spartans besides Master Chief in it. You know, so it's cool. Definitely good action. But besides that, the only thing really worth mentioning, I guess, is I started playing No Man's Sky. So that's a game that's been out for a while.
It had a rough launch.
Really rough launch a few years ago. It was one of those games that promised so much in the trailer
and didn't.
And then whenever they launched it, it had like 20% of what they kind of sold it on. And so, which the whole premise back when it came out, it may have been more than 3 years. It might have been like 5 years ago.
It's been a bit now.
It's a long time ago. They were announcing it, and it was like you can go to this planet, and there's like, I don't know I think they're all procedurally generated or something like that.
They're supposed to be.
So every planet's different, you know, and you're like researching things. It's got the
2016.
2016.
Came out in 2016.
6 years. Wow.
Jeez.
So it's got a survival aspect of it. You're managing, you have an environmental suit. You have to keep feeding sodium into it it like filters heat and radiation and different things like that. And then you have your, so that's like, and then it has like another aspect that you have to feed oxygen into. So both are for your suit. And then you're building things, you're mining things, but there's like a storyline that you can follow through to kind of get you start your mission and start to learn how to do certain things. Kind of like teaches you how to play the game. Where it's like there's this lost civilization thing, and there's these artifacts calling out to you, and you're discovering. So it's like a very like really cool like discovery kind of game. Really good graphics, really beautiful game. It's definitely, I think I've played a good bit of and looked at, because I've been interested in this type of game for a long time. A space survival that's not too hardcore survival, but like where you can, you know, build a ship, fly to other planets, try to like, you know, build shelters and build up an infrastructure on this planet, things like that. There's some combat in it, not too much, but it's very interesting and a lot of fun. But yeah, when it launched, it didn't have.
It was rough. I've heard the updates have really fixed it, and they've started to really.
I don't think
what they promised.
You know, I'm playing early game stuff still, and it's a great game. So, and I remember people playing it early game and being like, "I'm not going to keep playing this." So. I think they really overhauled it, and they have done lots of big free updates with it too.
Good.
And they just came out with a free update with it, I think, as well.
Good.
But anyway, so it's a game that I had decided a while back I was going to get, and I was kind of holding off on it, and then I was just decided to get it.
Caved.
Sure. I still haven't gotten Elden Ring though. I'm gonna wait.
You need to so we can play together.
I know I'm going to, but I'm trying to really save for when I finish
the writing. Yeah.
This draft.
Yeah, it took up a lot of my time. I haven't played it in a couple. I actually haven't played it since Star Wars came out. Actually, before that, Josh and I, my brother Jew, shout out Jew, who's not Jew anymore, but shout out. We got Tiny Tina's Wonderland together.
Oh yeah,
and I've been trying to play that.
I was trying. That's the
D&D Borderlands.
D&D, yeah, I was actually trying to remember what that was called. It's
super fun, but
Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Yeah, it's super fun, but it's the Shift servers. I guess they use a server like something called Shift for their servers, and it's just makes Josh and I have been such a hard time playing together.
Okay.
So we're gonna try it again soon, hopefully whenever we have free time, and because we're trying to play through it. To get like me and him not play it all alone, just go through the game together. That's just a game that we're going to play together.
Yeah.
But that's fun. But speaking of survival stuff games and sci-fi survival games, you ever played Skyrim and all that? Did you ever play those games?
Yeah, I played a good bit of Skyrim. I haven't beaten it.
So they're coming out with Starfield. Have you heard of this yet?
The people that made the Elder Scrolls games?
Mm-hmm. They're coming out with Starfield, and basically how it's been described is basically Elder Scrolls in space.
Okay.
And a little bit more sciencey and not as like fantasy.
Uh-huh.
But like a lot of like the traveling around the exploration. But
that'd be interesting.
It looks like it's gonna be good.
Because that is those kind of games, especially Skyrim was one of those ones where you could get you're trying to go from point A to point B, and there's a lot to do between discover and a little village that like needs to be saved or whatever, and its own little storyline,
or looted.
Yeah, or join the bandits that are about to loot it. I've been at those crossroads before.
You must get Elden Ring. I'm sorry, I'm on that again now.
I know.
You finish your book first because I want to read that. But
yeah, I will. But that's pretty much it, I think.
Oh, we need to just throw in there the Kingdom Hearts 4 dropped yesterday, like just out of nowhere. I was sitting in the ambulance. I was actually reading, trying to read a little bit more Narnia at the station, as I was sitting in the ambulance and I was like scrolling through YouTube, ignoring Narnia.
Yeah.
And I saw Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary. I saw it was released an hour ago. I was like, "What's this? This is new." And it was from Kingdom Hearts, the page, the YouTube page. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, so this is legit." And clicked on it, and it started showing stuff from the other, like Union Cross and some new game, their mobile game they're coming out with.
Right, I saw that too.
And then it like did like realistic Sora, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no way!" And sure enough, Kingdom Hearts 4, and I like immediately texted you, and I immediately texted Josh, my brother, and was like, "Guys." And then Ian called me later on, and was just like, "Dude, did you see it?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, it was so awesome." He's like, "No, like, did you see it, like Endor?" And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure that forest is Endor, and that foot is an ATST foot." And I had to go back and look because he's the one who told me about it.
Yeah, so there's like a screenshot from the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, which I can't believe is
a thing. I announced already
coming out.
Probably not like for 5 years, but
hopefully not. But
I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced in 2013.
I know.
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006. It was announced in 2013, Kingdom Hearts 3.
That was announced way earlier than that.
Yeah, it was 2013.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Man, that's crazy.
Hopefully this one doesn't take that long.
But they there's like a picture of and there's a metallic looking foot thing
on a foresty world.
In a foresty world. And I pulled up a picture of an ATST, looked at the from the back, looked at the foot, and it looks the same.
It's hard to tell, but
I mean, it could be somehow something else, but if it is, then they copied the ATST foot.
Even the trees look like the redwood trees from Endor.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks. I don't know. I'm hoping.
So if it's Endor, then
I'm hoping.
Would it be? It would take place in Return of the Jedi?
Maybe. I don't know. It could
That's
be
what I would
the last little bit of. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah, it's like that'd be the question. It's like, what would the story be? What would be happening?
I don't know. I don't care. I just want it.
Well, which that raises the whole other question: what will the gameplay and the way how all the worlds work? I mean, is it because Kingdom Hearts 3 was really not a very different formula for the way you go to a world and you just kind of do a story that's a version of the story of that movie, and then you go to the next world and that sort of thing. So it's like, are they gonna do the exact same thing, or maybe will the worlds be a little bigger?
Yeah, I'll be curious because
if you could do what if you did the whole like original trilogy, sort of?
That would be interesting. Well, I know things are going to change up too, because as far as like even like Kingdom Hearts storyline, because the director and all that's already come out and said like Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 that is the completion of that like story, the Arc of Darkness, I think.
Okay.
And now this 4 is going to be starting a whole new technical story, like technically a whole new storyline, and it's called like the Arc of Masters or the Lost Ark. I can't remember what it was, but
interesting.
So like that's changing. Like the basically what we're doing.
Well, yeah, should be fun.
Lost Master Arc is what it's called. I think the first one's called like the Darkness Arc or something like that.
Yeah, they kind of teased that at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, that scene where there's like the lost. I think they literally were looking for the Lost Master, talking about him.
The Master of Masters or whatever.
I don't know theory. Why that's significant, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's something to do with Union X, of course, the mobile game, because Nomura is, or that's his name, right? He's just got to make.
That's it. Yeah, Nomura.
He's just got to make random small games that have so much to do with the story, and you have to play all of it.
Well, I think in that Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary video, it was showing like Union X stuff, and it was like, everything is connected. It literally said that, and it's like, yep, we know. Everything's connected.
Well, yep, thanks for reminding us that you have done this to our souls. Anyway, so that's exciting. Like I said, we're probably not gonna see it for years to come, but it's exciting to know that it's announced and it is a thing.
My kids will probably be able to play through it with me.
For real.
When it comes out, it'll be cool.
You gotta get them through the rest of the games first.
Yeah, well.
Ellie
no problem there.
Ellie will be old enough to play them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, take a break, come back.
Yeah, well, we're gonna try some Turkish delight in honor of our good friend
Edmund
and angsty boy Edmund.
Edmund, who is from the personification of all of us.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna come back and do that and talk about some Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh snap! There it is. All right, we're back.
We are back.
We have our Turkish delight in front of us.
I have never had a Turkish delight.
If I had, then I've forgotten.
Are Turkish delights like from Turkey? Are they Turkish?
This on the back of this thing, it says product of Turkey.
Are they delightful?
We're gonna find out.
All right, let's find out if they're delightful.
Let's see if Edmund. Maybe we'll be a little more forgiving to Edmund. Joining the wrong side.
Smells like nothing.
Yes, nothing. Interesting.
Tastes like candy.
It's a more mild flavor than I was expecting. So these are like fruity ones. There's like lemon, orange, and rose. So you can taste one that tastes like a rose, I guess. Yeah. They're out at the chocolate ones, apparently all expired at World Market. But they have
enough people buying those.
If you want Turkish Delight, World Market has it all the time. These are good though.
Lemon is really good.
I like the consistency. Like it's just very pleasing consistency.
It really is though.
I don't know how to explain it.
No, you're right.
It's soft, and it's not too. It's not like gooey,
It also doesn't bombard you with sweetness.
Right, it's not.
Like most candies do.
It's a little more mild, but it's sweet.
I might go as far as to say that it is
delightful.
It's delightful.
Well, let's join the White Witch.
All right, yeah, all right. I mean, I get it. It's all right. I would too. I would also want to just continue eating these
until you die.
Till I get a bellyache and die.
So, Chronicles of Narnia. Where to begin? How to begin?
The Chronicles of Narnia.
I watched a video in which I should have made this connection, but it was a video saying like we should thank Tolkien for the Chronicles of Narnia or something. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because C.S. Lewis was an atheist. Mm-hmm. C.S. Lewis was raised. I don't know what he was raised exactly. I don't think he was raised Anglican, but he was raised in a Christian home, some type of Christian home. But at some point, he began to doubt, have questions. Became a very like intellectual person of like reasoning things out, and in his reasoning of things, he saw Christianity as just another myth, another way of explaining through fanciful ways the way the world works, and the way the world exists, So every other system is mythological, and so is Christianity. And Tolkien was the one. They became friends at some point, and they both loved ancient mythology. And Tolkien impressed to Lewis that it can be a myth and it can be true at the same time. Mm. And basically, that was kind of like that idea kind of sparked something in Lewis to kind of think about maybe, and this was kind of what Tolkien was getting at, maybe the reason there are these certain ideals and things in so many myths, and there's kind of like these core nuggets of truth in a lot of myths, and the reason is because there is a true myth that they all, not necessarily consciously, are like trying to emulate. Do Chronicles of Narnia. It's not like that, because some of these things may predate like the New Testament, but that they are, because they're made by the same creator, that the same things that resonate in all cultures and throughout all history is because we all have a common creator who has a story that he's telling that, and so it's this idea that that Christianity is where myth and truth come together. And that idea was so, it's just so gripping to Lewis that he started to follow that, and he became a Christian and became a very staunch defender of it. And
then we get Chronicles of Narnia.
So, I mean, the premise, it was written by C.S. Lewis. It's a very well-known fantasy series.
Children's fantasy more.
Yes.
It's definitely a youth.
It's for the youths.
It's for the youth. It's definitely a very children-oriented.
Yeah.
Like a children's story. I don't know. It's the best way to put it, I guess.
I mean, well put.
Shut up. It's the Turkish Delights, man. All I can think about is the White Witch.
She's whispering in her mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's about, one way is, it's a children's story. It's the main characters are kids. But so these 4 kids are, because of World War II is happening and they're away from probably London, I think because of bombing is happening. Yeah. So they're out in the country somewhere in England, staying at, it's the professor, like their uncle? I forget what it says at the beginning.
I think he's just a person that's taking in refugees,
watching over them.
Yeah.
So they live in this big house, and they're trying to pass the time. And you've got the 3 siblings that get along pretty well, and then you've got Edmund, who's kind of always like
the jerk of the family.
He's just always got a sour take on everything. He's jealous. He's obviously jealous of Peter. Like, he doesn't respect Peter. So anytime Peter, who's the oldest brother, says anything remotely older brother, instructive, he pushes back against it and all this stuff. So he's just got an overall really bad attitude, bad disposition towards everything. So, but yeah, they get into Lucy, the youngest, she gets into the wardrobe.
Yeah, they're playing what is it? They're playing hide and seek, or
yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the premises is right. They're brought into this like mansion basically.
Yeah.
To get away from the war, all the stuff going on, and like I said, I don't know. I don't think the professor has any relation to them. I think he's just taking in people. And I guess they're all playing hide and seek because it's raining out, and Lucy goes to hide in the wardrobe, and sure enough, she's walking back, and there is no back to the wardrobe, and like it says multiple times, she doesn't close the wardrobe door because they know that it's a stupid idea.
I love those little things that the C.S. Lewis throws in there to kind of clue you into, like it keeps it repeating that over and over until Edmund gets in. It's like Edmund does something very foolish because it's foreshadowing that he's
a foolish person.
He's a foolish person. He's going to make some foolish decisions.
But yeah, Lucy walks back and falls into some snow, and all next thing you know, she's in gosh dang Narnia.
Lamppost and everything. Yeah. Meets a fawn.
Mr. Tumnus.
It's a very eerie, so they go back to, he invites her back for tea. It's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does harken back to mythological stuff, where there's like mystical creatures, kid wanders into the woods and they get kind of magicked into like someone's lair and that sort of thing. So it has definitely that vibe right away. And, Tumnus even breaks down. She like wakes up because he's put her to sleep with this song and he breaks down because he's crying because he knows he's been told by this white witch, woman that is ruling over Narnia, or at least calling herself the queen, because Aslan is for some reason not there. So it's always winter in this land, and the animals, if they ever see a daughter of Eve or a son of Adam, basically a human, then they're to tell her right away, because there's this prophecy.
Yes.
About these 4 thrones that whenever they're filled will break the magic, the dark magic or whatever of Narnia, or that's over Narnia. And so he's basically breaking down because he's in the process of he didn't send for someone, but he was about to. He had her asleep. He was about to send for someone to come get her.
But his better nature won through.
Yeah. So that's kind of like when that's in the story, when you kind of realize this place isn't just this safe little fairyland where you can just go have fun and everything will go your way and you get everything you want. There's like actual evil here, but Lucy has a good enough time.
Yeah.
Despite that when she goes back, she finds her way back and she tumbles out of the wardrobe and starts telling everyone about it and how great it was. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, she's been gone. She had no time had passed.
Yeah. This is like the first time you kind of realize like, oh, Narnia, time passes differently in Narnia, where she was gone for hours upon hours, but in the real world or in our world, she's been gone for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. But she's telling them all about it, which is interesting because like you're almost kidnapped by a fawn.
Yeah.
But she's a little kid, and I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, I'd probably try to get back.
I'd go back.
I'd try to figure it out. Like
why not?
I mean, magical world.
That's what I'm saying, right?
I
find it interesting. Just kind of aside, and this will probably get brought up later, but it's interesting that the humans are referred to as daughters of Adam, or daughters of Eve and sons of Adam.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so it's the book has very heavy like Christian, not just themes, but it's a sort of an allegory, Christian allegory.
Absolutely.
It's not one for one. Like it's not as allegorical as Pilgrim's Progress, maybe, but by John Bunyan. But it is very allegorical.
I mean, it's just got Christian written all over it.
Mm.
I mean, for a lot of things, even the sons of Adam and daughters of Eve ruling over the animals.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's about humans coming, and humans are like a scarce thing, at least in Narnia. I think there's humans in other countries within that universe.
Well, it's even mentioned like isn't the witch a human? And I think
she's
Aslan,
like part human.
Yeah, Aslan's like, no, she's part giant and part something else.
Yeah, part giant and part djinn or something.
Yeah, Jin, that's what it is. But that's what she stakes her claim to the throne to, is that she's human.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
she's really not.
Exactly, yeah. I think like a literary way of telling you that making these characters important, right, is that there's a prophecy that there has to be two sons, so it's like, here they are. So they're clearly kind of foreshadowing that they're going to be a big part of like very, very major movers and shakers in the world of Narnia, that they're kind of destined to be,
Yes.
So the prophecy is absolutely definitely about them, is kind of what that prophecy kind of lays out, right? Is that, okay, this ultimately fit that. And also sets up the whole tension with Edmund's character.
Yes.
Because to kind of come back to where we were talking about, Edmund, of course, right away is very harsh with Lucy about her talking about being in this magical world. They even check the wardrobe to, like, her older siblings are like, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt or just humor her or whatever and could be kind. And the back of the wardrobe is there.
There's no Narnia.
Narnia is making her look the fool. So for some reason. So, but then Edmund gets in. They both get in. Edmund and her get in.
Yeah,
again.
Lucy goes in again, and then Edmund follows her in.
Right.
To kind of like prove her wrong.
Yep. And so because she gets in first, and probably because of the way time works, she's already gone to see Mr. Tumnus.
Yes.
Edmund runs into the white witch right away. Mm-hmm. She's very interested in him because he's a son of Adam.
She finds out that he's a son of Adam, and then she finds out that there's 3 others.
Right, and that corresponds when she realizes that, she very much wants to get her hands on them so that she can keep this prophecy from coming true.
Yes.
So she starts feeding Edmund magical Turkish delights and hot cocoa. I think is one of the other things he had.
Which, by the way, in the movie, both look delicious.
They looked amazing, yeah. Just stuffing his face with them too, and he doesn't like them, and he's like not feeling like they give him a real hard time about being hard on Lucy, so he's just like teed up to turn him in, and she's saying all like lying about everything, giving all these
I'll make you a king.
Excuses and things for him to kind of excuse that, even though she really wants, he gives her the benefit of the doubt because he wants to be king.
Yes.
He wants to believe that she's not really going to do anything too horrible to his siblings because
part of him, it seems like part of him wants to as well. He kind of, I think it's like a weird thing of like he doesn't, but at the same time, like he feels like she's going to make him king. And she's gonna provide all these things, but she's not gonna, and she's kind of gonna make him above his siblings, right, but not do too bad of things to his siblings.
Right. She said something like, a king needs like courtly servants and things like that,
and obviously the magic of the cocoa and the Turkish delights are swaying his mind, which I think is obviously a pretty good.
It's like instantly addictive. He wants more. She tells him she'll give him more if he gives it to her, and he's like by the end of the conversation begging for more, pretty much, and. She sends him off. Then him and Lucy meet up again, and he pretty much Lucy says something about, oh, good, the White Witch didn't find out about the fawn, about Mr. Tumnus, and she's telling Edmund this, and Edmund is like, oh, I just told the White Witch about the fawn. Yeah, he's thinking that in his head.
But he's also telling himself, like, maybe the fawn's the bad guy.
Exactly.
And the White Witch is good.
Telling himself all these things to believe that maybe actually they picked the wrong side, because he just can't see him. He can't be in the wrong. He has no humility, so he can't be in the wrong. But then they get out, and then Edmund denies
going to Narnia
at all.
What a jerk!
Just despite her.
He's such a jerk.
Yeah, he really was a jerk, a big jerk.
But this prompts, obviously, Peter to get upset with Edmund for being a jerk to Lucy, and
yeah.
But then, obviously, Peter and Susan's the second oldest, both worry about Lucy, so they go to the professor of this house, and are like, hey, our sister is acting wacko crazy, she thinks there's a whole another world in this wardrobe, and the professor's like, maybe there is.
Yeah, yeah.
Professor's
Yeah,
just
the
like, why you
professor's
doubt
great.
her? He's just like, I don't know. She seems pretty truthful. She seems like a pretty honest young lady to me. Has she ever lied before? And they're like, no. He's like, they're like, actually, usually it's Edmund the one that lies. And he's just like, well, then you have like 3 options. Either she's lying, she's mad, or she's telling the truth. She doesn't seem like she's lying. She don't seem mad.
You know what I thought about when at that part? The C.S. Lewis had he was a famous apologist as well, like defender of Christianity.
Read his other books, you'll definitely learn
like
that.
Yeah, all his nonfiction books are in defense of Christianity and explaining it and things like that. One of his arguments that he gave about Jesus is that you cannot take Jesus as just a good person or a good teacher because of the claims he made.
Yes.
Either he is lying, he's a liar, which if he's a liar, he's not good. Or he's crazy, which if he's crazy, you shouldn't listen to him. Or what he said is true. It's only one of those 3 options, basically, is his argument. And that's the same argument the professor makes, is she can only be lying, or she can be crazy, or she can be telling the truth. So which is the most likely? Is likely that she's lying, or do you think she's crazy? She doesn't seem to be crazy to me. So
and she seems like she's been truthful up until now. So
right. So they decide to kind of lighten up on her, and then circumstances push them into the wardrobe. I think someone's chasing them, and they think
because the house
is not chasing them, but
the house is like always getting like tours in
right,
it because it's got like a weird artifact,
and they're supposed to stay out of the way.
And so that tour is coming, and so they're like, oh, we gotta get out of here. So they run right to the wardrobe.
Yeah, and so that's when they all get in, and then immediately they're like, Edmund, you jerk.
Lucy, you were right. Edmund, you jerk.
Yeah. So they apologize to Lucy, and Edmund's feeling more traitorous than ever.
Yes, because now
and she's told him, the witch has told him what to do once he gets them in. There's these 2 hills. If he goes between the 2 hills, over the hills, there is where her castle is. And so he's kind of keeping his eye. He's keeping his eye on where her castle is, while they're doing their thing. So they run into some beavers.
Well, they run to Mr. Tumnus' house first.
Oh, right.
They go to Mr. Tumnus' house. They see it ransacked.
Yeah.
And Lucy's like, oh no, this is my fault. And they found out, and yada, yada, yada. And then they run into some beavers.
And, Edmund's like, well, clearly he's a lawbreaker.
And he's, continuing to kind of like hinting at like, maybe the witch isn't
right.
the bad one. Maybe
like
these
trying
people are.
To get, like, I'd be probably in his own mind trying to see, like, maybe I could convince them to come on their own
free will.
This is like, how else would he do it anyway? Unless just completely tricking them.
Yeah.
But
we meet some beavers. Beavers are talking.
Beavers start talking.
Animals talk in this world. Mr. Beaver. I love Mr. Beaver.
Mr. Beaver, Mrs. Beaver.
But he basically tells them about what's going on. Tumnus was taken, and he was told to find them and take them to the stone table. But he takes them to their dam first, which is just great.
Yeah.
Miss Beaver is hilarious. She's cooking, and I love when they're about to leave, and she's just trying to pack everything.
She wants to bring the sewing machine because she doesn't want the witch to mess it up or mess with it. That's funny.
Real quick too, funny thing too that's mentioned earlier that is definitely like a kid's book thing. Like to put like for like if kids are reading this book is to be like it's winter all the time, but no Christmas.
Yeah, right. It's always winter and never Christmas.
Never Christmas, and it's something that's mentioned multiple times by all the different people. It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're now in the dam and they're talking, and Mr. Beaver's kind of laying things out for him, and I like this. I really like this scene. I actually wrote this down at one point too. When he brings up Aslan.
Mm-hmm.
And it says everyone gets like a different feeling for Aslan.
Right.
And it's definitely interesting to see the difference between Peter, Susan, and Lucy's reaction to the name compared to Edmund's reaction to the name. Because Peter, Susan, and Lucy all get like a warm feeling of like, this is, someone great. This is something great, everything like that. Whereas Edmund is just like, I don't want anything to do with this. I get a horrid feeling from hearing this name and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And
I think part of the reason that is like for the in-world reason that's happening goes back a little bit to the whole stone table deep magic situation where there's this thing that you learn about later in the book. Long ago, at the dawn of Narnia, there was this deep magic that was written down, and it says that if a traitor, if anyone ever betrays the king or the emperor or whatever, then they'll belong to the White Witch, and the White Witch can
do with them as they please,
spill their blood, kill them or whatever. And so I think what's kind of happened is, because Edmund has become a traitor, it's like he belongs to the White Witch. So he's getting the sense that the servants of the White Witch would get. That kingdom is Aslan's, and so the people who consider themselves subjects of Aslan are excited for him to come back. The people who know they've usurped his kingdom and it doesn't really belong to them, and that when he comes back, they'll have to answer for the way they've usurped his kingdom, called themselves the kings and queens of his kingdom, said that they're really in charge and rulers. They'll have to give an account. So he's getting that feeling because that deep magic is in play, that he's starting to belong to the White Witch.
Yes. No, I think that's what it seems like to me. It's also just super allegorical for, obviously, us humans and being traitors to God and falling into sin and being opposed to him and everything like that.
Right.
There's a nice little line in there too. They're talking about how the White Witch turns people into statues. And I think Lucy's like, oh no, Mr. Thomas might be a statue, and yada, yada, yada. And we gotta go. Or no, I think maybe when Edmund kind of jumping ahead like a couple pages, but Edmund ends up leaving them on his own. They realize he's gone. He ended up leaving to go to the witch's castle alone. And they're like worried for him. They gotta save him. And the Mr. Beaver is like, if he's not already a statue, he will be, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, we gotta go save him. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Beaver says something along the lines of like, the only one that can save him, you won't save him, Aslan will save him. Which I think is another great line that kind of just, once again, just drives home the Christian themes of the story. Yeah. I was just, as I was reading, I was really focusing on finding or seeing those and noticing those.
Mr. Beaver says in the room also, Lucy asks him if he's safe because they're talking about how he's a lion, and it's like, okay, lions. Like in their world, like you think of a lion and you think of something you should be very careful around, and you probably don't want to be in a room with it when it's not chained up or in a cage or something. Yeah. So they're like, is he safe? And Mr. Beaver says, safe? No, he's not safe. But he's good. And
it's the same reaction they get when they see Aslan. Jumping ahead, they see Aslan too as this is a wonderful being, but there's also that wonderful fear of him too. Like that's mentioned multiple times. Like,
right. He's not safe, but he's good. So you don't have to be afraid unless you're not. you know? Yeah, that's a great line too.
It just really made me think, and even if you go as far as the thing is like the statues is like the hardness of a heart. As a human and a sinner, having that hardness in your heart, the only one that's going to free the only one that's going to give you a new heart and a heart of flesh is Christ. And so almost seeing in that way of like Aslan is going to free these statues from their bondage and their imprisonment as a statue, and Aslan's the only one that's going to do it. That's how I saw when I was reading that part.
I didn't see it that way. That's actually a really interesting way to think about it, because it is his magic that has to break that spell. Like there's nothing else. I don't even know if she could have taken someone that was turned to stone and turned them back or not.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
but
moving ahead in the story,
Edmund abandons ship and he gets into her lair without all the other siblings, and immediately she turns on him. Like she's completely
upset that he didn't bring them, and
upset.
Just shows her true hand.
He gives her enough information to know kind of the next step of what she needs to try and do to get them, thinking that, he'll get that Turkish delight. And they give him like some really stale bread and
gross water. Something like that.
Yeah. So immediately he kind of realizes, okay, I've made a huge mistake.
I done goofed.
Which is, Edmund is, as you said at the beginning, Edmund is symbolically a character that we all are at times,
Yes.
you know, in our lives. And
we have followed something believing that it's going to give us what
Right.
we want, only for it to not actually give us what we thought we hoped for.
right. And depending on, you know, that could be a very, you know, like minimal example, you know, of something that's not necessarily life altering, but there, you know, or it could be a thing where you reach a point where you've, you know, pursued something thinking it's going to fulfill you, and you pursued it in such a way that you're now a prisoner to it. You know, you're now in its power, and you're there, and you realize the mistake you've made, and you realize
But you're stuck
wish
in it.
I could go back. I shouldn't have done this, but you're like somewhat powerless. You
And
know?
that's where Edmund finds himself. He's now powerless in the grasp of the White Witch, and now she's going to go hunt down his siblings.
Right.
And that's what she does. She gets in the sledge, and they start hunt down the siblings. Obviously, going back to Peter, Susan, and Lucy, and the Beavers, the Beavers are like, he's gone to the witch. She'll be here in like 30 minutes. Like, we got to get going. We got to pack up and leave. And so they start booking it. Yeah, they book it for a while they get into like a cave.
They find like a beaver hideaway.
To like relax, relax and sleep
Yeah.
for a little bit. And it's at this point that they actually hear, and now the White Witch rides around on a sledge.
Yeah.
And the sledge usually has bells on it, but if you pay attention to the story, she actually mentions take the bells off so they don't hear us coming.
Stealth sledge.
Stealth sledge. She's going all stealthy. But they start
the bat
hearing
sledge.
They start hearing bells. Mr. Beaver goes out and checks, and then he tells them all to come up. And who it be other than good old
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas himself,
as they call him.
Christmas has come back to Narnia.
Right. So it's like the sign that the magic is, her magic is weakening, because
First sign of
the
the
Father Christmas says like he was finally able to make it in after so many years of trying to make it into Narnia, and it's cool how they portray him. Mm-hmm. He's not like, I think one of the kids like are thinking about him and remembering the descriptions of him just being kind of jolly and very large, but he looks a little bit more noble, more rough. And he gives them presents.
They're not toys.
They are not toys. They are tools.
They're tools,
as he says.
Peter gets sword and shield.
Yep.
Susan gets a bow and arrow and a horn to signal for help. And Lucy gets a dagger and some healing potions.
Yeah, she gets a little dagger and like a potion that like a drop of it will heal any sickness or something like that.
I want that in our next D&D session. Okay.
Like all of those things. Well, the bow is like a bow that doesn't miss. You know, so it is like a D&D I
like it too. He's like, you shouldn't have to use this. You shouldn't be in the fighting, but you need this anyway.
Right.
Whereas Peter is like, you need this, fam.
Yeah. He's like,
you're going to be bad in battle.
You're going to be leading the charge.
So, but yeah, that's your first sign that the White Witch's magic is weakening. It's whatever she has had over Narnia is starting to fail. And in the next chapter, you see even more where the snow just starts to rapidly melt.
Yeah.
You're starting to see basically spring is coming back to Narnia.
Is that the same scene with the White Witch where she's like freaking out because I know that's kind of happens around the same time. Like,
yes, it's happened around the same. I think the next chapter is it goes back to his,
because she grabs
perspective.
Edmund, makes him come with her, to find his siblings, and as they're going, it's just like flowers and things, and they're freaking out.
The sledge gets stuck and they can't use it anymore. They have to start walking
because the snow is melting so much. I'm trying to remember if I missed anything, because then they're trying to get to the stone table. The stone table is like where they know they're going to be meeting.
They get there pretty effortlessly after that.
Yeah,
oddly enough, they get there and who do they see but our good guy, voiced by Liam Neeson himself.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Aslan.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn
is Lion Jesus.
Is Lion Jesus. That man has played Qui-Gon Jinn. He's played Zeus. He's played the guy from Taken.
Yeah. Yeah. What can't he
Real
play?
quick, totally off topic, but I love the meme where it's just like, it's a picture of Liam Neeson and Taken, and it's just like, this man is Zeus, Aslan, Zeus, Lion Jesus, Qui-Gon Jinn, and like something else. He's like, and you still decide to take his daughter.
When he said he has a particular set of skills,
He just meant
it means a lot more.
It means a lot more than you
Like
realize.
I'm not.
Anyway, yes, they meet Aslan, and that's when you get the description of he's wonderful, but also there's that sense of like wonderful fear about it too.
Yeah. They're arguing about who's going to talk first.
That's another cool part about it too is them being all of them being afraid to approach Aslan. That like I don't know what to do.
Right.
Like this is he's so.
Yeah, I think Peter like takes his sword out and kind of does like a salute.
Salute, yeah.
Which is good. It's good for Peter because Peter, he's the oldest, and he's going to be the High King. So it's showing that he is stepping up. Mm-hmm. He is taking leadership and initiative, and kind of accepting this responsibility a little bit more. But yeah, it's while they're talking about the thrones and that they're actually within sight of the castle, Cair Paravel, I guess, that they hear the horn of Susan.
Yes.
She's blowing her horn because they're in trouble. And yeah, the wolves are like chasing her up a tree, or maybe it's like just the Captain Wolf, Malgrim.
Yes, it's chasing her up a tree.
So that's when Peter gets to use a sword for the first time.
Gets his first
And
kill.
I think Aslan tells everyone to stay back.
I think so, yeah.
He's like, stay back, let the High King needs to.
And then Aslan knights him
earn his
at that point
stripes,
too, right after this.
I think, yeah, you might be right.
Or maybe he did it right before, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't
Which
remember.
he knights him, and I in my mind I'm like, okay, so how's he doing this? Does he take the sword in his paw, or does he take the sword in his mouth?
Yeah, because the movie definitely showed him just kind of walking like a lion at all times. The book actually has
a picture
like when he's talking with the White Witch of him like walking with his hands behind his back, which looks very strange.
Very strange image.
But it's also, fine. If that's what he does.
Yeah, he also names Peter the Wolf Slayer, something like that,
Wolfsbane. Peter
Wolfsbane.
Yep.
He gets his knight's name.
Right.
But at this point too, they find another wolf in the woods, and Aslan's like, track him down. He'll lead us to the White Witch and Edmund.
Right. And they're going to try and steal him back, get him back. So they get into, that's whenever the witch and the dwarf are like arguing about everything because of how it's like spring is crazy, and then the wolf's like running, and the wolf's like, fly, like just telling the witch and them,
fly,
like,
you fools.
Yeah, basically the wolf is like, everyone just abandoned. Aslan's back. We're done here. This is over. It's over. And
it's game over, man.
But the White Witch has in the back of her mind the stone table. What's written there, the deep magic, and that we still have a chip to play with Edmund. They don't back off, but then the rescue party gets there. And they get Edmund back.
Yep.
And so the White Witch is able to use, excuse me, not the Queen.
The White Witch.
The White Witch
is able to use some magic.
Is able to use some magic to like conceal them, so they like look like a
stomping a rock or something.
A log or something, yeah, a rock and something like that. Yeah. So I
like the weird interjections that C.S. Lewis makes as the narrator.
Yeah.
Of like.
And
if you looked closely, you notice a log that looked very dwarf-like, stuff like that. Like it's just like a weird it's very fun. Like after Edmund leaves, or right before Edmund leaves, like there's a part in the chapter that says like, and Edmund whispered in the last chapter, like it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Edmund whispered in the last chapter they were all lost, but yeah, they get Edmund back, and it's interesting because they get Edmund back. Obviously all the siblings are happy, or no, the siblings don't know about it. Do they until they see Edmund talking to Aslan?
Yeah, I think that's where they wake up.
They wake up
the next day, and
Aslan is having a conversation with Edmund.
Right,
they're kind of told, don't go over there right now.
Right, in which when Aslan comes out, lets Edmund come out, he basically says, we've talked about everything.
What's done is done.
What's done? Yeah. Let's leave what's in the past, and
you don't need to know about the conversation we had.
You don't need to bring it up. And so they all listen to him, accept Edmund back as best they can.
Mm-hmm. Try to just remind Edmund and that they're still siblings. And
Edmund's, he's contrite. He's apologizing, which, I mean, you could say, well, yeah, he should be sorry. I mean, come on. At the same time, this is something I thought about with this story. I think this is a theme, definitely a theme because of the Christian themes in these books. The theme of characters being redeemed, and having a character that kind of gets to a place where they realize they've made a big mistake or that they've really done wrong, and giving that character the opportunity to be redeemed, that changes people. That changes a character.
Absolutely.
I mean, that changes a person, a human being. Like, and you can see that in. There are examples of that in our world, not just the example of someone becoming a Christian, but even just in general, someone who, like, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a great example of this. He's a person who struggled with drugs and very much a Tony Stark-esque kind of person for a lot of his life, couldn't hold a job down, hit rock bottom, and got a second chance. And someone said, well, I'm going to take a chance on you. And someone said, you don't have to be like this. This doesn't have to be who you're seen as, who you are forever. You know, someone having the chance for redemption can just oftentimes can change a person.
Yeah.
Because whenever you get into a place, whether it's like Edmund or whatever, and you feel like, and this is something I wonder about. I thought about this on the way over here. If the White Witch could have used this concept of the deep magic, because it's a traitor. So if anyone, like, there were a lot of traitors that were serving her, you know, because
they technically, they're all traitors.
There's giants and dwarfs and things like that. So I mean, once you betray Aslan, then essentially the witch owns you. She has the right, according to the deep magic, to have your blood kill you. So either, you know, I can very easily see the White Witch saying, hey, you're mine now anyway. I can kill you, or you can be my servant.
Yeah.
And just think of how many creatures that became a traitor one time or whatever. The White Witch would be able to leverage that and manipulate them into serving her, because it's like, what else are you going to do? You don't have a chance at redemption. I own you. I get to kill you. But what Aslan is doing here with Edmund is changing all of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, Edmund's starting to change. I guess is kind of where I was going with all that. Is that Edmund is starting to change because Aslan, the way Aslan is treating him as someone who can change, and
yes,
and I think it's not just that he can change, but it's his. Would you say, you know, maybe even like, because Aslan is changing him by talking to him, by, you know,
by leading him. And I think it's important too to remember that right before Edmund was saved, they were in the process of getting ready to kill him.
Right.
Like, he was getting ready to be killed. Like, they were going to slit his, I'm pretty sure they said they're going to slit his throat. Yeah. They pulled his head back into that. That's when he was saved. So, I mean, this is someone who was literally brought to the brink of death and then saved and then redeemed, and then going through redemption with Aslan, to the point where Aslan tells even his siblings, what's in the past, the past. We need to move on. We've talked about it and everything like that. And then, I don't know. So, I mean, like, he's definitely going through this serious point of redemption and understanding really what happened, what he actually did and almost did with bringing his siblings to this White Witch. And then it's even more compounded by the fact that you have the White Witch now approach Aslan. And it's just like, old magic fam, you know, he's mine. I'd get his blood. I just love how in that scene, Aslan just condescends to her. It's like kind of condescending. And she says something about, like, have you forgotten the deep magic? And let me find it, because I just love it and I don't want to mess it up. Doesn't he roar at one point? He gets like a big That's roar. After he gives her his word, and she's like, oh, that's right. How do I know you'll keep your word? And then he just roars his head off. Okay, he says, well, said Aslan, his offense was not against you. Have you forgotten the deep magic? Asked the witch. And then his answer is, let us say I have forgotten it, answered Aslan gravely. Tell us of this deep magic. So basically he's like, go ahead, explain to me what you think. Almost like not showing his cards here, because he does have that card he knows about, the deeper magic from before the dawn of time. So she goes on to explain the thing about
Every traitor belongs to me as my lawful prey, and that for every treachery I have a right to a kill. So she explains that to him. He lets her explain that to him. I think I like in the movie they have Liam Neeson. They have Aslan says, "I was there when it was written." Mm-hmm. I love that line so much. He's like, "Yeah, I know what it was." But I also like this too. This kind of like condescendingly, like, maybe I have forgotten it. Go ahead and tell me what do you know about it? Yeah. So he tells everybody. She goes on and just kind of like twists the dagger in front of everyone. So everyone's like, "Oh gosh, is this actually going to happen? What's going to happen here?" And the siblings are worried for Edmund that Aslan's not going to be able to save him.
And then you get a weird viewpoint from Edmund where he's just like, Edmund's like, I feel like I know where this is going, but then he gets the sense of, I shouldn't intervene though. Because I feel like at this point, Edmund is probably like, I do deserve.
Well, and that's an interesting, probably.
He probably is,
But the thing it keeps saying about Edmund too is that the entire time he just keeps his eyes on Aslan, and he doesn't pay much attention to what the witch is saying, which is another, I think, good like parallel to how you should be if you're listening and you're a Christian. Whenever you know that you love the king, that you've asked him for forgiveness, you believe in his sacrifice, and yet there's accusations from the enemy, from your flesh. There's accusations even from people around you, maybe, that are telling you, no, this is what you deserve. This is what you really are. Look at what you've done. You should be like Edmund, who's just like, I've talked to Aslan, and I know Aslan and me are okay. Yeah. Like, the king told me we're not going to talk about this anymore. Yeah. He's not going to see me this way anymore. And if I'm going to just keep my eyes on him and focus on him. And if I don't get as long as he doesn't cast me aside, I'm not worried about what the White Witch says. And I thought that was a really cool little detail that kind of, once again, shows this change that's coming over Edmund, where he has done all this, he's been a jerk, but now I think there's faith happening there. He's putting faith in Aslan. He's depending on Aslan in those moments. Whenever this whole thing is about him, all this is happening because of him,
And it's interesting too, because once again, all the other siblings are like, no, Edmund's gonna die, and yada yada yada. But you don't get that from Edmund. Edmund has got his eyes on Aslan, and he's not sitting there worrying. Yeah, he's not biting. I'm about to go die. He's watching Aslan, and then even once again, it says just like, he feels like he knows what's gonna happen, but he also knows that he can't. He's not supposed to step in. Yeah, because he probably, to an extent, sees where Aslan is going with this.
Yeah. So at that point, Aslan tells everybody, okay, everybody fall back. This is going to be between the White Witch and me. And you don't get to see that conversation. I don't think, and it takes a long time. Mm-hmm. But they come to
an accord.
And the White Witch thinks she's won. She thinks she's all
smiley and giggly.
Because Aslan has said he will give himself up in Edmund's place. He'll take Edmund's place. And so they've made this bargain, they're not circumnavigating because there's actually one point where I think Susan says, is there some way you can work against this magic from the Emperor? And Aslan's like, work against the Emperor's magic? Like, you don't work against my own father's magic? No, I can't do that. So, what he's doing is he's fulfilling the stone table. He's fulfilling what was required from the stone table rather than trying to go around it. So then that chapter, I guess, ends, and Aslan is explaining all this like tactical stuff to Peter, and like when the fighting happens tomorrow, because it's not going to happen tonight, somehow he knows that there's not going to be a battle. They're not going to be attacked in the night. He's like, this is where you want to send these people. This is where you want to have these people. This is what you want to do here. He's giving them all this advice, and Peter's like, you're going to be there, right, Aslan? And he's like, I can't promise you that I'll be there. And then everyone goes to sleep, but Lucy and Susan can't sleep because they're so worried about what's going to happen. And the way Aslan's acting and talking and things like that. Yeah. And everybody in the camp is like really low morale because
Aslan's kind of low morale.
Is really low morale. And so they follow him, and, you know, his head is sunk low, his tail is drooping, his nose is almost scraping across the ground as he's walking. He's just super, super low. And then he realizes they're there with him, and, you know, they ask if there's anything they can do, and he just says, you can just, you know, hold on to my mane, hold on my fur so that I can feel that you're here, you know, with me, which is a very sweet scene. Like,
it is
very, you know, moving, because if you are pulled into the story here, and like, so all these characters, you've gotten all this buildup of how much everyone loves him. He's such a good king. You've seen how he's been good. You've seen how he's treated Edmund, and you know, he's the enemy of this horrible villain. So seeing him so low, you know, is really painful.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not even as low, you know, as he has to go, because they get to a point where he tells him, you can't follow me any further, which is, you know, I think definitely symbolic of Jesus. You know, I mean, like, there was a point he had his followers, and he had even an inner circle of people that were like his best friends, and they could only follow him so far. You know, whenever the Roman guards came to take Jesus away, there was no fighting to be done. There was like, what had to happen next. There was nothing that his disciples could be a part of, you know. And in the same way with Aslan, what he has to go and do, he has to go and do alone. All these horrible creatures are like circling around the stone table, just jeering at him. And I think quickly the witch tells them to tie him up.
Yep.
Right.
Everyone's like still scared of him.
Yeah.
Like, some of the people were like hesitant to go after him, and then when they start realizing like, oh, he's not fighting back, then they start getting their confidence of like, yeah, let's go, and they start tying him up, and they shave his mane and basically just humiliate him.
Right. And they keep tying him up too. I remember Susan at one point says, they're still scared of him, even though he's tied up. They tied him up kept tightening the cords so that they were cutting into his skin. And then Susan and Lucy don't see the killing blow, but the White Witch has this like stone dagger that she uses on him.
She even says too, right before she kills Aslan too, she just says, Aslan, you've just given me the victory. She says, you think you saved Edmund, you think you saved these sons of Adam and daughters of Eve. She's like, now I've killed you, and I'll kill them next.
Right, exactly.
Basically trying to taunt him and everything.
Right, she basically says, die knowing that I've taken your life, and now I'll go take theirs. You know, which, you know, I do wonder, and, you know, I believe this story, it's a very good story, but it's just a story.
Yes.
But it's very inspired by a true that took place in our history. And I do wonder, you know, about like Satan, to what degree he understood what the cross would do, you know, because
I feel like probably
he's been around for a while.
I feel like probably not much. I'm pretty sure isn't it kind of,
I don't know.
He thought he won.
I mean,
I thought that was, maybe I'm thinking of something that's not factual.
I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing, but so I think like, because of all the Old Testament symbolism and all that, I feel like it's kind of like, if anyone would have known, it would have been Satan, like, because he's been around for all that time to see all the symbolism, and then have Jesus teaching that he's the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world, you know, like, basically put that imagery on himself that I'm the Lamb God.
But isn't also
sacrificial?
I know you have that yeah, but isn't thinking of like, because isn't too, and this is where a lot of the humans got screwed up, was they thought that they read the Old Testament stuff, and they thought that Jesus was this warrior king that was going to come and save them, that he wasn't going to do it through dying.
Right.
And like, yeah, he had the symbolism of the Lamb of the world.
Maybe.
And so maybe even Satan
No,
himself
no,
thought like,
that's
like here, look at this
perfectly-
warrior, this king who
Yeah.
is now tied up and is dying. Look at him. How's he going to save his people now? Not realizing that is how he's going to save his
That's
people.
perfectly a valid possibility. Like I think, like absolutely, that's what his enemies, his
That-
mortal,
yeah, the
his mortal
humans,
enemies thought. He's clearly not the Messiah because he's not a conquering king, you know, or at least a lot of them did. And the ones that thought he was a good prophet, just thought, well, we could just get rid of him, silence him. But it's possible that in the Satan's like vain hopes that, you know, even though it looks like this is intentional and it looks like there's a purpose behind this, maybe it won't work. You know, I could see there being a vain hope there on the part of.
It's an interesting
Satan.
thought. It's an interesting
Because I mean, the concept
thought.
of like killing a member of the Godhead, you know, I mean, like what happens, you know, who could actually know what would happen, you know,
It's true.
except for God himself.
Anyway,
So yeah,
back to the not true story. But yeah, so we get, you know, Susan and Lucy run over and they're crying and they're obviously very sad and dejected, and it's like a whole scene. And then they're there for a while. I mean, up until morning, just crying and upset. You get one point where mice come and cut the ropes, eat off the ropes and everything like that. And I don't remember what it is, but something draws them away from the table. I cannot actually. I'll probably figure that out. Okay. They're cold.
oh yeah, they're trying to warm up.
They're cold.
like,
So
walking
let's
back
walk
and
about
forth.
a bit. And they walk to the edge and look down. And yeah, they were actually looking at Care Paraval. And at that point, they heard a loud noise, a great cracking, deafening noise, as if a giant had broken a giant's plate.
Mhm.
And they turn around, and Aslan's body is gone.
Right.
And the stone
And
table
they're
is
like, oh great,
cracked.
now somebody took his body, you know, very similar to like the two Marys that went to his tomb and thought they've taken my Lord, you know, very similar kind of scene. But then he's like, she says like, is this more magic?
Yeah, they're crying. They're like, oh, and they're, you know, and they're all sobbing. And Susan's like, who's done it? She's, what does it mean? Is it magic? And you just, yes, said a great voice from behind their backs. It is more magic. And they look around and there's Aslan and mane and all. And I love
his mane's regrown and
I love, aren't you dead then, dear Aslan? Said Lucy. Not now. Just, do I look it? But I like this part, and I'll read this too, because it talks about the old magic. And Susan, it says, but what does it mean? What does it all mean? Asked Susan when they were somewhat calmer. It means, said Aslan, that though the witch knew the deep magic, there is a deeper magic still which she did not know. Her knowledge goes back only to the dawn of time. But if she could have looked back a little further into the stillness and the darkness before time dawned, she would have read there a different incantation. She would have known that when a willing victim who had committed no treachery was killed in a traitor's stead, the table would crack and death itself would start working backwards. And now, then Lucy cuts him off because she's a child. And so you have Aslan, who has done no wrong, given his life for a traitor, and is beaten death.
yeah. And so death worked backwards. So, which that's just an interesting saying to me. I'm interested to see how they take that and mention it or show the implications of that throughout the rest of the series. Because I know like other things that happen, but like this pivotal moment in the history of Narnia where the stone table's broken, so it's no longer that deep magic's no longer
A thing.
At least, you know, and it's not like in this world, it's not like a if you trust in Aslan kind of thing necessarily. Obviously, there's still people that are enemies and still enemies that still get punished. That's, I guess, that's why I'm interested to see how they kind of flesh that out. You know what that means.
It'll definitely be interesting going forward and seeing.
Yeah, they quickly go. They jump on his back.
Go to Care.
And they go to not Care Paravel, but the witch's castle.
Which is Care Paravel?
No, Care Paravel's is the different place.
I could have swore that she was in that castle. Am I wrong? You're wrong.
No, this is the place with the four thrones. Is not is not the White Witch's place.
Whatever. I don't believe you.
Well, it's not in the movie. I know that. It's like a different place.
Okay, yeah, it was empty while she was reigning. Whatever. Anyway, they go to the witch's castle, and Aslan, as we kind of mentioned earlier, frees all the statues with his wonderful lion magic. Aslan
Starts
magic.
breathing on them. I love the lion that was like, he said us. He said us. We're lions.
The two lions. Us, lions. He sees us as the same.
Yeah, like there's like a lion that is freaking out because Aslan references them as us.
But yeah, so everyone's freed. Mr. Tumnus is freed, and basically Aslan's like, all right, we're going to go hunt down, we're going to go find this battle and help them out. And sure enough, they get them, and there's a giant with them too, and they get to this battle, and they see that Peter's army is kind of losing.
Yeah. They got a lot like dotted stone statues dotted throughout the battlefield, and Peter's like locked in battle with the White Witch, but she's not using her
little wand,
anymore because
our good boy Edmund
like
our newly good boy Edmund
complete his like character arc. Apparently, Edmund kind of did like a very daring attack at her wand specifically instead of fighting her, trying to take out her wand. And when he did that, he took a real bad wound, but she stopped being able to turn their people to stone. So,
but Peter's fighting her, and then Aslan shows. They all show up, and Aslan pounces on her.
He wants a piece.
And long story short, the army is defeated, and yeah, they go run over to Edmund. Peter's just like, no, Edmund's the real hero here. He's the one who thought to destroy her wand and all that, and they go. And
he's like about to die.
He's like on death's door.
Yeah. She gives him.
He's got 2 death saving throws, and he's got one. He's only got one left, and he's not looking very good.
And so Lucy comes and gives him a drop of the thing, but it's not working quick enough. And so she's like watching. She's just standing there watching, and then Aslan's like, "There's other people that are on death's door right now," and she's like, "Okay, I'll hurry." And he's like, Do more people have to die for Edmund? He's like, oh, like gets a little testy there, yeah. But so she goes and starts.
Everyone's
doling out the juice.
Everyone's healed. Stones are coming back to life, and everyone rejoices. And then they go to Care Power Val. They're kinged and cleaned up. I don't know how to say that.
Yes, they are crowned.
They are crowned. That's what I was looking for. They're crowned, and then Aslan leaves.
Aslan like slips away because he has he's like Gandalf.
And they're like, just as Aslan just comes and goes as he pleases.
Apparently, he has other lands he has to attend to or something. So,
and they reigned for years.
For who knows how long?
Time.
I mean, I don't know if how. Obviously, time passes differently between worlds, but I don't know what a Narnian year is equal to. So, they're like full grown adults.
Yeah.
Like it kind of jumps forward, and they're all talking all like very properly.
It's so funny.
It's very
because
funny. I'm glad it's only like 2 pages. But
the author even says, the narrator even says, then said King Peter, for they talked in quite a different style now, having been kings and queens for so long.
Yeah, and they're like, it's like everything they say, it's like they're talking properly, like Sir Peter and
what is it?
King Peter. My lord.
Fair consorts, let us now alight from our horses and follow this beast into the thicket, for in all my days I have never hunted a noble quarry.
Fair consorts, let us alight from our...
Like it says, sir, said the others, even let us do.
Yeah. So that happens for a couple pages.
Madam, if you look well upon it, you shall see it is a pillar of iron with a lantern set on top thereof.
Right. That's when they're hunting this white stag. Like, supposedly if you catch the white stag, I don't think they're going to kill it, but if you catch it, you'll get like wishes or something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So they're trying to catch this white stag. It carries them into Mr. Tumnus's country, or part of the country, which is right by Spare the lamppost. And so they've like forgotten what a lamppost is. They don't understand how it works. But then I just bumped my mic. But then
we've done that a lot tonight. I've done it too.
But then they are like, but this the lamppost, it's doing something to my senses. Like it's
something familiar.
And so they decide to follow the stag into the forest, and that gets them back out into the real world. And as they get out and they tumble out, they kind of like revert a little bit back to children. Like they're not like talking like
I
that
think as they
anymore.
start walking closer and closer through the wardrobe, they start remembering things too.
Right, they start to remember, and then they remember that. Oh, they go and tell the professor about the coats that are missing, and
He says no. He said, I don't think it'll be any good trying to go back through the wardrobe door to get the coats, because they were telling him that 4 coats are going to be missing from his wardrobe.
right.
And he says, you won't get into Narnia again by that route. Not that, nor would the coats be much use by now if you did. What's that? Yes, of course you'll get back to Narnia again someday. Once a king in Narnia, always a king in Narnia. But don't go trying to use the same route twice. Indeed, don't try to get there at all. It'll happen when you're not looking for it. And don't talk too much about it, even among yourselves. And don't mention it to anyone else unless you find that they've had adventures of the same sort themselves. What's that? Oh, how will you know? Oh, you'll know all right. Odd things they say, even their looks will let their secret out. Keep your eyes open. Bless me, what do they teach them at these schools? And that is the very end of the adventure of the wardrobe.
There you go. So there you go. That was Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So it's a great book.
Yeah, it was really fun to read. It was
very quick read,
very very quick and easy read, and it was one of those, it just makes you feel like a kid again when you're reading it. You know, I've never read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe particularly, but I've watched the movie. Mm-hmm. But it definitely just makes you feel like a kid reading it, and
yeah,
I definitely liked, like, especially as an adult now and as a Christian reading it. Yeah, seeing all the comparisons and definitely the influence, the Christian influence, and everything like that.
And there's a lot of things, and I like this isn't like a super in-depth look at these things, because there's a lot of mythological references in these books, especially this one. Things that are happening that you would normally associate with paganism, you know, like dryads and tree spirits and different creatures that are from other mythological systems and things like that. But the reason he did that is because of that idea, that belief that even those things are derived, even those things are spinning off in some form from the creator's design. So even those things kind of he decided to incorporate those things into his world to say that they can all still be viewed, if you view them from a perspective of it all coming from the same creator or whatever. So anyway, but that's it. Yeah. So we'll try to do the next one.
Yeah, we'll be trying to read through all of them. You know, if we don't end up getting them all back to back, we're going to get through all the books at least. So yeah, be looking forward to that if you're a Narnia fan, and if you're not, check them out.
Feel free to try and read along with us, and
they're easy books to read, very short and easy to read,
classics. So,
but otherwise,
it's been the Bridge of Two podcast,
a far, far away bridge.
Oh, yeah. Delightful.